So here's the question, Gator. Are the Red Wings hot?
Yes.
Or is this just who they are?
They're hot.
Okay, but I'd rather this just be who they are. I get that they're hot, but the question with a young team, like if you look back at the trajectory of championship-level clubs, as the Red Wings were coming up and, just starting to get competitive in the early Yzerman era, where they went through the dead things era, and you if you go back and you look at their arc as they got better and better and better, at some point they just simply started to play better and continued to get better and better. Every time they plateaued, they kept going up, right? And then there are other times where young teams are just hot. And I don't know how you can figure out if they're just hot right now and they're going to come back to earth, or if they've somehow, some way turned a corner. Like, is this indicative of a team that has gotten, these young players are starting to get it, the lessons from Derek Lalonde and the adults in the room, as we like to call it, starting to sink in. And, Zadina scores a goal last night. The line of Rasmussen and Kopp and Perron was fantastic. The goaltender's playing great. What a toe save he had last night on that opportunity from Fox right in the slot. Have they turned a corner? Are the Red Wings, is this who they are now? And because it'd be great if they're in the playoffs. This isn't they you know what?
No, I'm looking at it right now. Look at the wild card standings, and you have wild card number 1, New York Islanders. Wild card number 2, Detroit Red Wings.
Yep.
I'm looking right at it.
Yep. Feels good. It feels great. This isn't, hey, you know what you're on the graphic.
They're on the graphic.
Hey, TSN, you can put us on the graphic now.
As to your point, are they who they are, or are they hot? I think right now it's safe to say that they're hot. And I bring that up because you look at the schedule and who they've beaten during this stretch. It's not a who's who of the NHL. It's a who's who basically of teams that are around where the Red Wings are.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the middle of the pack teams, and and you know what? These are the games we have to win. You've got to win these games to get to that next level. But I don't think this is any juggernaut of a team or an amazing stretch. I think it's a nice stretch that they're on right now. I think they're a decent hockey team that has a real legitimate shot of making the playoffs and maybe even getting in as a 7 seed.
Well, that has to be the goal.
Yeah, and that's what they are right now. What are they going to be when they add Lucas Raymond to the mix? I don't know. I like how I really like how the team is playing.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and I just wonder if you look at the Red Wings and you start poking holes in them, where are they deficient? Is it scoring? Okay, well, if they get Lucas Raymond back and he's something, they got something. If apparently Verana's still here, so I don't know how much longer that's going to last.
That whole
for.
move yesterday was tough to follow what the hell was going on. As he reportedly was sent down, but it was a paper move, and then I guess Raymond wasn't ready to go, and so back in the lineup he was.
Yeah, up until the next point when I guess Raymond's ready to go. But it's good to have guys that can score that are healthy, right? Yep. And there'll be injuries, and maybe Verano he'll be the first call up, I'm sure. And it's nice to have a guy that's got experience, because that's what good teams do. They get experienced guys and they continue. I wonder if Raymond provides that scoring punch and they continue to win. Is this going, now you're starting to look at the other holes on the team. Well, defensively, what can they improve defensively? There are ways to get better, and there are ways to get better. Whether it's going to be through the trade deadline, maybe they move away one of these extra forwards they have and couple it with a prospect, and that's buying. Would they buy a defenseman? Or would they promote a defenseman? Is Simon Edvinsson going to be just knocking that door down saying, hey, guys, you need a big defenseman. Hello. I'm right here. I played awfully well this year. I'm playing very well defensively. I'm responsible. Bring me on up. And maybe that happens, and all of a sudden you're looking at a team that it goes from a decent team to being a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we have to remember is the likelihood of them being fully healthy is not good. Guys get hurt. They'll get somebody back, and somebody else will get hurt. It's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, you have to have enough talent. You have to have enough ability to overcome those things. Everybody has to deal with injuries, some more than others. But right now, I mean, I'd love to think with so many young players that they've turned the corner. I'd love to think that a light has gone on. I don't know how you measure that. I mean, they have the toughest schedule in the NHL. I don't know if they still do, but they did as of 2 days ago. The toughest schedule in the NHL the rest of the way. They've got another one of these games now it's the third toughest schedule. They got another one of these games against a team that's ahead of them and into the playoffs in Tampa that's had a ton of success coming up tomorrow night. And they got all these games in hand where, catching Tampa, they're 12 points behind Tampa and they both played 57 games. That doesn't seem possible. But I mean, if you could reel them in, even more fantastic. But, we're putting up the guardrails on the reality highway, and we don't want to break through those guardrails and drive off. At this point, just making the playoffs is a huge step in the right direction, and you don't want to be the 8th seed because then you have to face Boston.
Right.
But you know what? If you have to face Boston, you have to face Boston, right? F it. Bring it on.
Well, I mean, we want to make the playoffs, and of course, it's a tall order to try to upset Boston. But at least it's the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I'm not selling out at all costs to make the playoffs just to lose to Boston. But I don't think the Red Wings do that either. But I think the pace they're at right now, the way that they're playing and they're beating the teams that are their compatriots. They're beating their contemporaries, the same team that they are. Whether you look around is Montreal similar? All these teams that how similar are they to Florida and Buffalo and Washington? I think they're all really similar teams, and you just look at the point total, and it is. That's why. Beat those teams, you're going to continue to rise up, and not only are you going to continue to rise up, but you're also stepping on the teams you need to step on to get past and secure yourself that playoff spot.
There's a lot to discuss with the Red Wings now in a playoff position and the trade deadline a week from today.